Welcome back, everyone. Thanks for joining me in the video today. My name's Josh Shalbo. I'm going to be going over a video by Richard Fain on his YouTube channel about watch flipping. When I'm looking at my own algorithm, my own analytics on the YouTube backend, the video that's most popular outside of Mercari right now is a $275 a day watch flipping video. The video that we're going to go over here, I think, is going to be more closer to like $1,000 a week type video, so potentially another 10 to 50K in your pocket per year annually if you take the actions in this video. I don't watch flip much, but I've done it in the past and I've made money with it, so that's why I want to critique this video, go through it, see what pointers I can share with you all so that you can make some money out of this. If you're new to the channel, my only ask is that you like the video and subscribe so that more people just like you and I get to see these videos so that we all make more money together. Without waiting any longer though, let's watch the video. So right off the bat, what Richard talks about is how to use money, how money should properly be used, how it actually works. So he talks about using cars that are, I believe he talks about in other videos, how to use cars that are financed as flips or whatever, same exact thing that I believe he's going to talk about with the watches, so that you get to utilize those liabilities because they don't cash flow. You get to utilize those things in the short term, but you don't have to worry about the depreciation on them yourself. So when you drive like a Mercedes off the lot and it loses 30% of its value, because when you get into the deal, that's where you make your money. I believe that's what he talks about, so we'll see. So I love the Ferrari. It's beautiful. I think it's a little clickbaity because it's just going around it, but it's a beautiful car. I think he's got a Porsche 911 GT2 RS. I believe he has one of those too.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about luxury watch sales.
Again, this is what the analytics on my YouTube says they're getting the most views. If that's what you all want to watch, I want to be here to help with that. So that's what we're doing the video today for.
Specifically, how I got started and the first steps you need to take in order to get started. But let me introduce you to the watch I'm wearing. This right here is an Omega Seamaster Planet Ocean.
Now, Omegas are solid watches. I would put Omega above like your first Fossil that you get when you're like in 8th grade or whatever, or like a Fossil or like $100 watch, a Fossil, an Invicta, a Michael Kors. I'd put it above that, but below, let's say, a Rolex or an AP. And maybe even the same category as like a Breitling. I think Breitling is a little bit nicer personally, but this watch is probably anywhere from, let's say, $1,500 to $8,000 range. So it's not something that you couldn't get a hold of, especially if you're paying attention to the videos on the credit and the banking and the finance stuff. That's the main thing on this channel, is that, because that's what puts dollars in your pocket. So the only purpose of money is to grow that more money. The rich don't work for money. The rich have money work for them. So any person watching this video, I would say over 16, but at least over 18, could 100% go buy this watch tomorrow, if the deal's right, which we'll talk about in the video. But this isn't out of reach, even though it might be $8 grand.
So these are the watches I purchase online and I remarket online.
Basic flipping, find something that's already for sale, put it back online. I'm not sure if he's going to talk about, because he said buy these watches. I'll kind of get into that later in the video. I like to, like, whether it's hoverboards or a car or watches, because I've done watches in the past, or iPhones or MacBooks. I'm not opposed to holding the hard asset itself. I'm not opposed to you getting the watch if you know it's a good deal. If you're beginning, I would say try the drop shipping model, because then you don't have to put any cash up front, and drop shipping lowers your risk. Kind of like, it's not a hedge, but it lowers your risk on the back end, because if you were to not be able to get out of that watch, if you're drop shipping it, you don't even have the watch hard to sell. If somebody buys the watch, then you ship them the watch. You might make less money. So it all comes, I guess that might even just say it all comes down to the risk reward. The higher risk is buying the watch itself and trying to flip it. You'll probably make more there. But if you want a lower risk because you're just starting out, which is what I would have gone with when I started out, I would use the drop shipping model, because then you're not holding the physical item and you're not putting $8 grand down up front for nothing, with the potential risk of loss of that total amount, especially if this is your first deal.
First step, buy the watch from a reputable seller.
Very important. We don't want to be selling. So aside from there's like a $20,000 legal suit if you sell like fake items, and you'll get crucified forever. It's just not worth it. Even if I've been making videos about this for at least since 2015, 2016. It's not worth it to maybe, let's say you make a quick 20 grand. It's not worth it to sell BS. It's just not worth it. So make sure you have a reputable dealer, because this is a long-term game too. So aside from the litigation risk that you hold by selling bullshit, it's a long-term game. If you, let's say you make 20 grand in a month and you're all excited about it, but one of those was garbage, now you only can make, like, you're kind of capping yourself out at 20K. Even if you made less, let's say you only made, let's even 1 to 5K flipping watches, you're still making your 60. You're getting started. It's creating a new stream of cash flow for you, but you get to hold on to this stream over the next 10 years. Then it's $500,000 versus 20K. Which one would you rather have? I would rather have a 10-year stream of cash flow, and I think you should too.
Number 2, buy the watch at the right price.
I think he's going to say all the money is made on the buy, because that's how it is, at least with cars. And I agree. That's the main thing, which is why I say if you don't want the risk, just do the drop shipping model, because then you don't have to buy the watch at all. It's purely what the market is saying. And then it's just arbitrage. If you can buy the watch for 5K and sell it for 6, and you don't have to actually buy the 5K watch, you can just buy it once you have the 6K that the new buyer's buying. It's just the arbitrage opportunity between the two. But generally, the money is made on the buy, and then it's collected when you sell it.
Now, this is a pre-owned Omega Seamaster Planet Ocean. New, it retails for about $6,200.
Okay, so I was kind of right. I was in the, said 1,500 to 8K range, so $6,500, 62, 65, whatever he said. One thing I guess I would add too is, notice how he said pre-owned. I would not recommend, unless you're a watch dealer, and I have a friend who's a watch dealer who deals with like Pateks and like crazy stuff. Like he has, I believe, like $1.3 million of his own watch collection, and it's awesome. It's sick to look at. It's super cool. But unless you're working with a dealer itself and you're just selling the watches straight up, which would not be flipping, so that's not what he's talking about in this video, I would not recommend buying a new watch, because it's going to depreciate immediately. What you want to do is find watches that have already depreciated. Again, that's the whole arbitrage opportunity. Find them that have already depreciated, or somebody needs to get out of it, somebody needs liquidity. The opportunity is all in the crisis, let's call it. So this might even be applicable with COVID, because people are trying to get out of things like watches. Now, watches themselves have appreciated over COVID. They've held their ground pretty well, aside from gold and the stock market and things like that. But it wouldn't be a bad idea to pay attention to the watch market coming up if these $10,000 watches start going for 2 to 3, because people need the money to get out of them. So we'll see. That'd be something to keep an eye out for.
Retail value for this watch is slightly under $4,000. I paid significantly less than that. So I have some room to be able to remarket this watch and realize, hopefully, a profit.
That's the whole game. Super easy. He explained it simple because it is so simple. That's the whole game. It was all made on the buy. Same exact thing when I flipped the 7 Series. The money was made when I bought it. I had so much margin of safety, as Warren Buffett would call it, or so much of a moat around my speculation, that I had enough certainty to take the risk, because I saw such low risk, if not no risk, but there's never no risk. And I included time and insurance and damage and things like that. So they kind of relate. Luxury cars, luxury watches, but buying it way, let's say $500 to $1,000 under what it's going to go for. So he got it, it's worth $4,000. He probably could have, like, if I was him, I'd list it for $6,500, because worst case, somebody takes $1,000 off and they says, hey, I'll give you $55,000. He got it for under $4,000. That's $1,500 profit right there. Not to be naive and use easy math numbers, but the watch is probably worth $6K, even though he said it might only be $4K. I forget the quote specifically, but someone said something to the effect of, like, the only way to make luxury margins is in the luxury business. So people aren't buying these watches because they need them. You don't need an $8,000 watch. Okay, I lied. You might need an $8,000 watch. Luxury is a necessity. But because it's more of a luxury item, when you could go buy a watch that tells time, which I wouldn't recommend buying a $5, $10, $30 watch that just tells time, I would recommend go buy the $8,000 watch. You'll feel better about yourself, and feeling good is good. But because of that disconnect, it's not a necessary item. The buyer is probably willing to pay a premium if they want the watch bad enough. So then it just comes down to finding the watches that are in the highest demand over the aggregate of the market.
Now, you multiply that by 10 or 15 watches a month, and you can see where it can get pretty lucrative.
10 or 15 watches a month, I don't know how legitimate that is unless you're doing this full time and you have the capital to back it up. Let's say 10 at $8,000 a piece, or even at $4,000 a piece. That's $40K up front. If you leverage your credit, yeah, you can easily do that. That's nothing, that maybe one card. But if you're completely new to this, that's not what I would do. So how to buy watches. This is the first episode on how to buy and flip luxury watches. If you're completely new to this, if you're 18, 19, 20, I would say find watches that are more like get a taste for it. Yes, you can have like a mentor like this on YouTube that's going to walk you through the steps, but at least for my risk tolerance, and yours might be completely different, I don't think it's worth the risk to put up 40 to 80K your first month trying to flip 10 watches. That'd be like trying to day trade stocks and putting up 40 to 80K the first month. Like, that's how people blow up accounts, and that's not smart to do. Try it with $500, try it with $1,000, try it with the 5 to 10K that you're gonna get from the free bonuses that I go over. It's not house money, so again, if I've said that in the past, I completely take that back, and I was wrong to say that, because any money in your accounts is for you to use to scale up and multiply, but I don't like the risk factor on 10 to 15 at 4 to 8K per month. I would say do 1 to 3, maybe even 5 potentially. And if you're drop shipping, 10 to 15 is easy. Then it's just about being able to fill the order. So that's a completely different thing. But if you're holding 10 to 15 watches at a time, I don't think a month is a realistic time frame unless this is your full-time thing to do 10 to 15. But I think you can do 1 to 3 to 5 in your first month and then scale up from there. So to take it completely based on your risk tolerance. This is an investment advice, obviously. This is just what my recommendation would be and what I would do if I was to do this.
Third step, always have the watch insured when you ship it to its new owner.
Huge, huge, huge. Robert Kiyosaki's been screaming about this for ages. Professional investors invest with insurance, whether you want to call this investing or speculation. Either case, insurance is a key because it protects your downside. It's like if you're a farmer and you're buying futures in case the market's bad for that. It protects your downside. It's extremely important. You wouldn't drive a car without insurance. You wouldn't buy a home without insurance. Professional investors invest with insurance. Huge, huge point. I'm glad he brought it up. And the video ends off, he recaps the 3 things he talks about. So 1, have to have a reputable seller. You only want to be selling legitimate items. That's a huge, huge point. So I guess the 3 points in this video are all great points themselves. 2, the money is made on the buy. So when you buy the watch or when you originally get the watch, whatever that price is, that's where the money is made, because you have to be able to get it at enough of a margin of safety or a moat that you can make money even if you're completely wrong, which is how I like to play. If I know that I'm going to sell an item for $13,000, I want to be able to get that for 50 to 60% of the price, because that 50 to 40% window is enough for me to feel safe, because then if I only make 5 to 10% out of that 40% that's available, I'll still be good and feel happy about making that percentage. And that's the margin of safety that I like to use. If not doubling or 400xing my money, depending on the item. It all depends. As you scale up, it's harder to do that. But on items that are anywhere from, let's say, $100 to $1,000 to $5,000, it's easier to do 2x to 5x on things. Whereas if you buy an item for 10K, selling it for 50 is a little bit more difficult. And 3, professional investors invest with insurance. Absolutely. Major point. Warren Buffett's 2 rules for investing is 1, never lose money. Rule number 2, refer to rule number 1. Insurance protects that downside of losing money, because the point is to grow and be consistent in accumulation in our account balances, whether it's trading, whether it's flipping, whether it's putting out marketing for services, whatever the case may be. Consistency and long term is the name of the game. I hope this video was helpful. I hope this is what you've been looking for, because this is what YouTube is telling me that you're looking for. If you like more videos like this, again, please leave the like and subscribe to the channel. If you have any specific questions, leave a comment. The best way to get a hold of me is either leaving a comment, and I'll reach out as quickly as possible as I can. Shoot me a DM on Instagram at TheJoshElbow, or send me an email at summitsme@gmail.com. Happy to help however I can. If you want to get in on the coaching program or the 10K in cash bonuses, which I believe I just added another $1,100 or $1,200 to that, so it's probably about 11.2 now, or 11.5, because I think it was 10. I think it was 10.3 or 11.5 if I add another 1,200. It's about $11,500 in free cash bonus incentives just to open a business, to start a new business. Not a loan. It's not a SBA. It's banking and credit incentives that have accumulated up to now $11,500. If $11,500 would help you in your business from a cash bonus standpoint, if I said, here's 11K, I'm virtually doing that. I can't make it any more clear than that. So if you have courage, shoot me a DM, shoot me an email. I'm happy to help. See you all in the next video.